Welcome to the Rugged Human Podcast, where we explore the many facets of growth, mindset, spirituality, business, and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Jared Foos, an entrepreneur, people connector, and general applier of common sense. Throughout this podcast, I'll be speaking with thought leaders, business owners, creatives, and experts in their fields to gain their insights and perspectives on finding balance in their lives. You can expect practical advice and actionable insights on personal and business growth, as well as inspiring stories of individuals who have overcome their own challenges and achieved success on their terms. Welcome to the Rugged Human Podcast, Sensei Kunal.
How are you?
I really appreciate you being here, and thank you for coming on all the way from Toronto, Canada.
Yes.
You're the father of twins. You are a martial artist, a successful entrepreneur and business owner. You are a podcast host yourself of the Warrior Mindset podcast. You talk about a growth mindset. You talk about life experience changes when you incorporate different types of mindset into that. I wanted to give the people that are following me and the people that are interested in what I have to say opportunity to hear you, because I think it's fantastic, and I think it'll help a lot of people, when they are looking for this kind of information, and in general, when they're looking for, how different ways that they can help themselves grow. So that being said, here, tell me your version of you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate being on the show and being able to educate and share and just provide value really at the end of the day, right? That's what it's all about for both of us. I think as hosts of podcasts, it's about providing our listeners with value, which, tips and strategies that they can take and implement into their lives straight away. Right.
Sure.
And, when we talk about mindset, mindset, I find sometimes it's a word that's kind of overplayed sometimes because people use it, but they don't always understand what it truly means. Right. So to me, I think it comes with life experience also. So as we get older, as we get more experienced in life, as we go through, the ups and downs and the challenges and obstacles that the universe throws at us, how we manage and deal with those situations. What are the principles that we use? We've talked about the glass half full mentality, right? The glass half full mentality. That's mindset. That's at the end of the day, it's if you only look at something in a cynical, pessimistic way where it's not going to work out, it's not going to work out, right? It's just not, because mind over body. If you assume that something is not going to work out before you've even started, and that's what happens with a lot of people, where they get self-doubt kicks in, the what if mindset, right? The what if mindset. What if this doesn't work? What if this doesn't happen? What if this? What if it? And then the what ifs set people completely, it turns them off to say, I don't even want to try because clearly I'm going to fail.
Yeah.
Right. But it's not a real thing. It's anxiety. It's anxiety. And anxiety is not, it's real when you're feeling it, but it's really your brain playing tricks on you.
Sure.
Right. And so for me, I am 44 years old now. I moved to Canada when I was Toronto when I was just before I turned 9 with my parents and my brother. All three of my family members are very accomplished, like professionals who work in, a structured job. My dad is a retired CEO, chemical engineer. My mom is a retired doctor. My brother is a trauma surgeon right now.
Sure.
And so, they have been very supportive. But I think that as an entrepreneur, the mindset of the entrepreneur is very different than everybody else, to the point where I think that a lot of people look at our mindset as you're a little delusional.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not about being delusional. It's about that drive and that passion and there's that focus we have that, what, we want to accomplish so much in life. And and a lot of the times it's not just about accomplishing things for ourselves, it's about accomplishing things to help other people, which is why we even have the podcast, right? Which is why you even have the Rugged Human Instagram page or TikTok and vice versa, with with Sensei Kunal or the warrior mindset. It's how can I do my part? You know, you were talking about you realized how you're just like a speck.
Right.
I also had this realization. I remember I was about 36, 37, and I also realized how we are but just a speck in this universe. And, you know, in the big scheme of things, you could think, oh, you know, I'm just a speck, so what do my efforts matter? They don't matter, but
Mm-hmm.
they do matter. Because if everybody thought that way, humankind would be doomed.
Mm-hmm.
Humanity would be doomed. We all have a part to play, from our day to day, from our how we, live our lives, how we treat other people, how we care for other people. So for me, it's, being a dad is part of my purpose. I realized a few years ago my purpose is in life is really to be the best dad I can be, to
Right.
be the best partner I can be for whoever I'm with, and helping others rise up in life.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that means that if that's through mindset coaching, mentorship programs that I've run throughout the city over the past 15, 20 years, where I've worked in marginalized communities helping at-risk youth and budding entrepreneurs and young entrepreneurs really rise up and kind of get out of that stigma of, oh, because of my environment I cannot succeed.
Right.
Right, and as much as that is true, that your environment has a big role to play,
Mm-hmm.
as we were talking about in I think one of my posts where we were talking about, are millionaires self-made, or do they become millionaires because of an inheritance, right?
Right.
And I think it's a little oversimplification of that statement. It's oversimplified. It's not truly like that. It could be really about opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
right? Maybe the person who is coming from the marginalized community doesn't have the same opportunities as someone who has a lot of family around them, or who has the opportunities, from education to, funds to pay for school, to whatever it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or even the
Right.
people around you that are motivating you to say you can do it, you can succeed. Where if you're in
Mm-hmm.
an environment where you don't have that, it's really hard to be born and just inherently think that I'm going to do it. Now, does that mean that you can no there's nobody like that? Of course, there are people who do that by themselves. They come out of situations by themselves. They do it. But why not give them a little helping hand? And I use myself as an example. I'm not from a marginalized community, but I have always been very independent in my thinking, and in my goals in life. I want what I want, and I've never been that person who says, oh, because my brother's a doctor, because my mother's a doctor, because my dad is a chemical
Mm-hmm.
engineer, I got to be one of those.
Yeah.
It was always about finding my own path. And I always knew that there was something different, where that really fueled me, fueled my energy, and fueled my passions. And I remember, I've always been very driven and ambitious my whole life. From being entrepreneurial since I was young to, and I think my first job was, and I think a lot of us can kind of contest to this, was a paper route,
Yeah.
right? Paper route was my first job ever.
Me.
Absolutely, absolutely. But you know what? It taught you discipline, right? It taught you how to manage and somewhat budget your funds. And it just taught you structure, about like a work-life balance, even at the age of 13 years old or 12 years old or 10 years old or whatever it was. And since then, it just kind of fueled me. I kind of got into my mind that, wow, you know what? I can do this. I can do anything.
Sure.
And, having jobs throughout high school or university, working in retail, I put a lot of weight of my success now in my experience that I got in retail. I find that retail, you can really build an all-rounded, person, from how you manage people, how you build relationships, how you build your own confidence, and kind of understand who you truly are. So when I was working for a telecom company in my 20s and going to university part-time, for me, university was always, it was never about, oh, I need to get this degree, I need to get my MBA, I need to go become a doctor or a lawyer or something like that. It was always, let me take and absorb as much as I can from school for what I needed to do for me.
Yeah.
Right. And so I tailored my education around and my courses around where the goals that I had and where I saw my career going and what I needed to learn and know in order to do those things.
Yeah.
And so, I remember I was 24 years old and I was working for a telecom company. I was making, decent money for a 24-year-old. And there was a lot of opportunity for improvement, but that was not really what I wanted to do. I didn't want to work for somebody. I always had a goal of, working for myself or owning my own business. At that time at telecom, I wanted to open a telecom retail store, which was a hybrid between consumer sales and business, like enterprise level sales as well. And I remember I woke up one morning and I see an article in the Financial Post that talks about the importance of businesses managing their telecom expenses. And my background was, corporate negotiations, enterprise sales, account management. I had a lot of experience in that. And so I took that as a sign for me that, you know what, let's pivot. As opposed to going into retail, let's go into consulting. So I created my consulting firm. It was a telecom IT consulting firm back in 2005.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at that time I told my girlfriend at that time, who that we were looking at getting engaged, and I said, I need 2 years, so let's do a 2-year engagement, and I need 2 years before we get married. I need to figure out if this is something that is viable for my career. It's something that I can actually do, and I did it. I did it.
One of the things that I did want to ask you about is you had mentioned that you pivoted in life. You pivoted from, working in the telecom, and you decided to go on your own and start your own company. Can you tell me, and this is one of the things that I like to talk about a lot, that point in life when we know we have to make a large change, when we decide we need to pivot, but we hem and haw, we put it off, we ignore it, we don't listen to that inner voice of ourselves, are afraid to leave the familiar. We're afraid to leave the safe zone. We're
Our
afraid to
comfort zone, right?
leave.
Our comfort zone.
Yeah, the comfort zone. And we're afraid of going into the unknown. We're afraid of change. How did you overcome that? Did you run into that obstacle inside of yourself? And how did you go through that and overcome that? Because that, I think, is a useful life skill, is understanding how to overcome your own fear.
I agree 100%. And the thing is, I think it has a lot to do with the environment. It's the
Sure.
environment you keep. It's the people around you, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the people around you are telling you you're not going to be able to do it, why are you taking a chance? It's too risky. Aren't you afraid of not having an income? Aren't you this? Aren't you that? And it's their own limiting beliefs that are trying to, they're putting it on you. It's not that you can't do it, it's that they can't do it. Right. And so what happens is that for a lot of people who are not confident in their own abilities and their own um you know determination and their focus, it's easy to be influenced by outside factors. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
there's always noise happening around us. It's really about,
Certainly.
when we talk about mindset is and we talk about spirituality, it's
Mm-hmm.
about being connected to yourself and to the bigger picture and not caring about what anybody else says and not worrying about the noise that's happening around you.
Right.
Right. So even when there's times of, when you've got your whole family saying, why would you do this? Why would you leave your job? Why would you start your own business? Aren't you afraid of not having a salary? Aren't you afraid of not having a steady income? Aren't you afraid of what if it doesn't work out? Okay. So what am I just not going to try? Because, we've talked about this, success is in the process.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I have always been very goal oriented and driven. And this is something that my friends and my family say about me all the time, is that once Kunal sets his mind to something, there's no steering him away from it,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's no breaking his focus. And that is the key in accomplishing, from going from a dream to a goal to something, and creating something, right? There are a lot of people who have lots of dreams. I've talked to many people, clients, friends, who tell me about all these grandiose blue sky dreams that they have, and but they do nothing about it, right? And it's not because they don't want to, they're just thinking too big. Like, if you think, I want to own a multi-million dollar business where it doesn't need me to survive, that is a very, like, blue skies goal, or dream. You have to look at it, okay. So my advice to them is, break that down. What does that mean to you on a yearly basis, on a monthly basis, on a weekly basis, on a daily basis? What are you doing in order to get one step closer to your goal?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's about creating that a strategic plan. It's about creating a plan of action. It's about converting those dreams to goals, because goals
Mm-hmm.
are what are going to get you closer to your end, right? To your what you're trying to accomplish. And I just realized from a very young age is that you got to at least try. Life is short, right? Life is short. There's, there are so many opportunities. We talk about missed opportunities. Unless you try, it's a missed opportunity. You got to at least try. If it doesn't work out, it's okay. It's okay if it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work out. But if you don't try, you've already failed,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and this kind of goes back to, I remember when I was about 30 years old, I had major life-saving surgery, where I didn't think I was going to wake up after surgery. And I remember it was about 4:30 in the morning the next day, and I'm hooked up to all these machines. And it was literally like a movie where I hear beeps of the machine going off in ICU. And I open my eyes and I'm hooked up to, like, I've got a face mask, I've got a breathing tube, I can't move my body, and I've got all these other tubes coming in and out of me. And the first thought I had was, holy shit. Can I say shit on this
Sure.
podcast?
I gave
Holy
you
shit.
permission. You officially can say shit on the podcast.
Thank you. Like, holy shit, bro, you're alive.
Yeah.
And that was a defining moment for me. It took my mentality and my mindset from already being ambitious and growth oriented to another level. And that's kind of where this beast mindset philosophy came from. It's
Mm-hmm.
this higher level of mindset, where
Mm-hmm.
it's not just about, we talk about the different types of mindset. You've got fixed mindset, growth mindset. A fixed mindset person talks about how life just happens to me. So it's almost
Mm-hmm.
like this victim mentality, that
Mm-hmm.
it's, if life just happens to me, I can blame the world for my problems, as to why I didn't accomplish or I didn't do something,
Mm-hmm.
right? But at the end of the day, to me, life is about choice.
Mm-hmm.
You're making a choice to not do something.
Mm-hmm.
And with a growth mindset, it's about, I create my own life. I create my own life, which means that if you want something, you got to go after it. Even when we talk about manifestation or our declarations, affirmations, all that kind of stuff, it's great. Sure, you can manifest, but you have to focus and continue to work towards your goals in order to manifest what you are ultimately looking to do.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just sit at home, sitting on the couch and thinking, "Oh, I'm a millionaire." A manifestation is very much about
Mm-hmm.
talking like you're already there,
Right.
right?
So let me ask you a question on that, because in my research, in my life experience, and just following success and studying success, I've been a pretty big study of that. I've listened to what people talk about when they say manifestation. And one of the things that I have looked at very specifically, I'm kind of a kick on the science thing. I always like to look back on the science and things and how it relates, if I can make sense of that. And one of the things I noticed with successful people and successful people that are goal driven and get things done is that over time, when they continue to they take their dream, and then they take that dream somehow must turn into a belief in themselves. And then when that belief in themselves becomes 100% faith in themselves, and then they have found that purpose, they become unstoppable. And when that shift in them, in their mindset takes place internally, they actually begin, they do things like starting to look for people that they hang around with. One of the things you just talked about was people, the people you hang around with is a big problem, the big thing that holds you back. So when you can find the right group of people to hang around with that can spur you on. But what I noticed is that these people exude these things that are scientifically proven. They're micro expressions, they're micro actions. Like, for example, as you and I are talking, I can see your eyes moving, I can see the bob of your head, and I can see how you hold your shoulders, these things are subtle. And when people have developed that growth mindset and they develop that faith in themselves and their own purpose in life as they move forward, they start to physically change. They start to physically exude different micro emotions, micro behaviors, and micro facial expressions. So that's one of the things that goes along with the confidence and the mindset shift. Have you noticed that with your physical training? I know you have some serious martial arts chops, no pun intended. Have you noticed the physicality of mindset, how it actually translates into your physiology?
I'll tell you something. The journey of a martial artist is very much about mindset. We practice non-violence. I can be the most skilled fighter, our martial artist, but my go-to will always be non-violence. And
Right.
it comes down to strategy. My sensei and I, when I trained, like when I was going through some serious training with him, where we're training in the middle of snowstorms, we're training in parks, we're training overnight, we're training in alleys, we're training on bridges, we're training everywhere. And my sensei is a former US Marine, so the level of training that he offered me was that type of training, that intensity. And and one thing I realized is the battle is often won off the battlefield. It's about strategy. So if I'm ever faced with a situation, I will talk myself out of that situation before I use any kind of physical violence. Because being physical in martial arts is about the honors, about ending a situation, not trying to win a situation, not trying to beat somebody up. That's not the goal. The goal is for peace. So I find that as a martial artist and having that martial artist mindset has helped me in life, in my career, in going after my goals, and vice versa. So the way I think is very much, it's all intertwined. So yes, mindset is extremely key, but it's really about being conscious about your present. You can learn from the past, you can plan for the future, but you can only live for the day. And there are so many people who make decisions in the present time based on what they think may happen in the future, which is, to me, you're hindering yourself by doing that. You are missing opportunities by thinking, well, what if it doesn't work out? Okay, then it doesn't work out. And you gotta at least try. What if it does though? What if it does work out? Right. And that's the glass half full mentality, is that, but what if it does work out? Don't think what if it doesn't work out. Think, what if it does work out? Right? Where will my life be? What if it does work out? And then work towards that. And that is what manifestation to me is where you believe in what you truly believe in yourself, and you believe in your goals, and you believe where you feel that this is who I am, this is where I need to be, and this is how I can help others do it while I go through this process. And then you change the way you think and the way you act accordingly. So when I work out, think about it. I work out 1 to 2 times a day outside of my martial arts. Okay. I run 30 kilometers a week. right?
Mhm.
Kilometers. I can't convert that to miles, but I run a
You
lot.
Canadians, you Canadians.
Yeah,
That's
Canadians.
okay. 30 kilometers a week, just roughly divided by 2. That's about 15 some odd miles a week.
Yeah, 15 some odd miles, right? Every week. And it's, do I like running? I actually hate running, right? I
Yeah,
hate
me
running,
too.
but it's the discipline behind it. It's
Yeah.
what am I trying to accomplish? And then what do I need to do in order to accomplish it? And I will do everything I can. And that is my plan of action. So
Mhm.
when I work out twice a day, when I'm working out at 6 a.m. in the morning, and I know that I got another workout at night, it's not about, oh my God, I got to work out, or maybe I don't have to do this workout. It's about, Kunal, you have goals and you have these deep desires to reach those goals. And I think discipline, and I read and I saw this from another creator on Instagram who had gone through the transformation himself, where discipline comes from when your deep desires outweigh your lesser desires. So if your lesser desires are, I want to eat that pizza, I want to drink that Coke, I want to do this, I want to do that, things that are going
Mhm.
to go that are going to like hamper your process in order to get to your goal.
Yeah.
When you think, you know what, my goals are so much bigger, I will do anything it takes to reach my goal, you'll do it. You know,
Mhm.
if you will do it if you have the commitment and the discipline, and you know that consistency is key. Even when you don't feel like going to the gym, go. You
Yep.
know, it's not about getting that 2 hour workout in, it's about going. Success is in the process. You go to the gym, you've already succeeded. You've taken that step, because that is the hardest part, right? When you're having anxiety and when you feel and you're tired, and you, it's not about getting the workout in, it's about going to the gym.
Mhm.
That's the hardest part. And so I always told myself, Kunal, you know, you have to create your own opportunities. And this is something that is a Bruce Lee quote that I live by. And it says, to hell with circumstance, I create opportunities. Because if you
Mhm.
let life just happen to you and think that opportunities are going to just fall in your lap, that is just not how life works. So for a lot of people think that, oh, he was lucky. Oh, he's blessed. Or, oh, it just happened to him because of who he knows. Yeah, but I'm telling you, even in situations that come to me, opportunities that come to me, I've invested so much of myself into that, maybe that relationship building, or I have put in the work in order for that to come back to me. And that's the whole talk about energy, right? When we talk about energy in the universe and spirituality, what you put out will come back to you.
Mhm.
If you don't put in the work and you don't put in, positivity, you're not going to receive it back. It's just not going to happen. That's not how the universe works. So to
Mhm.
me, it's, having a strong mindset is really about thinking that I am limitless. I can do anything. And if I don't try, no one else will do it for me. If I don't do it for myself, no one else will help me, because people only help others who help themselves.
Mhm.
Right. So the mindset, or the philosophy is really about never giving up. Life is
Right.
too short, never giving up. When you have other responsibilities, like I have children, to me, my legacy is everything for them. I don't
Right.
care when I'm no more if they think, oh, Dada drove this car, Dada drove that car, Dada had a nice house, Dada had, he made money, his business success. I don't care about any of that stuff.
Mhm.
I care about my sons thinking our dad never gave up. No matter how life, pushed him down, he always made that comeback. He always stuck to his beliefs and his goals, and he stayed strong, and he came out and he persevered and he did it. And
Mhm.
because of that environment, and that positive influence that he had on us, is why we are able to be strong and do what we need to do to make ourselves happy. That is my legacy
Mhm.
for my children, right? And I hope that then they
Right.
pass it on to their kids and so on.
Mhm.
So
I
yeah,
I
that's
love
that's
that. I love
yeah.
that. So you were talking about um using the concept that I wanted to come back to, and then I think we can probably think about kind of wrapping things up in general. But you had talked about the decision. You said it's not about going to get the workout in, it's about going to the gym. And and these things as far as discipline and achieving goals. How do you measure your own progress through things like that? Do you
Oh,
do any
absolutely.
kind of a tracker, or do you have an app or something you use, or how do you just know that, okay, I went to the gym 10 times and therefore I got this much stronger? Is that all internal, or do you use any kind of a tool?
It's a bit of both. I'll give you a perfect example. When my boys were born, and
Mm-hmm.
we were having twins, and it's funny because the man tends to put on some pregnancy weight too, right? Because you're
But can
you're
you
buying
repeat
all
that?
of these like junk, right? You're buying junk and then you're eating it too. And so I
Okay,
remember,
so can you repeat that? I didn't hear the beginning of that.
oh,
The man says
I
what?
said when a couple is pregnant and the female is having all these cravings, the man tends to put on some of this pregnancy weight too. It's called sympathy
Ah,
weight. It's called
okay.
sympathy weight, right?
Mhm.
But I found that with twins, being in that life, I'm trying to run my business. My wife is on mat leave. I have two little things that I'm trying to like keep alive. I'm trying to feed them. I'm trying to, there's so much expense. And I'm
Right.
thinking, so what happens is when you're so focused on just getting through the day and making sure everything is balanced, you tend to sometimes what kind of gives is your own physical health or maybe your sleep or your eating patterns or whatever. And I found that, I was at my heaviest, probably when my kids were about one, one and a half. I
Mm-hmm.
was at my heaviest. And then I said, I can't continue this way because it was affecting my health. It was
Mm-hmm.
affecting my back. It was affecting any sports I play. I felt I had less energy. I just didn't feel like myself.
Yeah.
So I made this conscious effort to not just lose weight, but just to be healthier. And I ended up losing about 65 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was through educating myself about intermittent fasting. I started intermittent fasting, and that has
Okay.
become really a way of life for me. I've been doing it now for over 6 years now.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much a fast, it's more about discipline,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's disciplining my mind and my body as to what I put into my body,
Mm-hmm.
right? And understanding that, hey, you know what? You work and this can be applied to your career or your personal goals too. I worked my butt off to lose those 10 pounds or to gain that 10 pounds in muscle or to feel better about myself or to look better or to fit into those pants or to wear that jacket or whatever it is. And then
Mm-hmm.
when you go, you have a moment of weakness and you're feeling down, and I'm looking at that bag of Doritos that I want to eat,
Mm-hmm.
right? Either I say, you know what? I deserve it. I deserve it. I've worked my butt off and, I'm very disciplined every day. So it's okay to have a cheat day. It's okay. It's not,
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna, it's not gonna kill me if I have some Doritos, but it's
Mm-hmm.
about discipline. It's like, maybe don't eat the whole bag, maybe take a bowl of Doritos.
Yeah.
It's really about being conscious about what I put in my body. And so that being said, when it came to just making better decisions and being, when motivation is lacking, discipline takes over. When discipline is lacking, consistency takes over. If you stay consistent, so and know that it doesn't matter, even if I don't feel like doing something, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I have a logbook where I track my workouts,
Yeah.
I track my weight, and this is something that I do. I weigh myself every day. Every morning I weigh
Mm-hmm.
myself. Okay. Do I
Okay.
need to weigh myself? Am I looking at my weight and saying, oh my God, I put on 2 pounds. What am I gonna do? I'm not. It's just more for me to see how my weight is fluctuating as I'm losing weight and putting on muscle. I'm
Mm-hmm.
replacing the muscle with the weight. Is it staying the same? But I feel bigger. I feel stronger, right? I feel harder. I feel my body's changing. So it's very much about what you see. as well. But it is important to log and track what you're doing, because it's a long process. This is not something that I'm going to say, oh, I'm going to work out, I'm going to the gym every day, and in 2 months I'm going to hit my fitness goal. I know that this could be a work in progress. It could be a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. I don't care. Timelines don't, they're a nice way of kind of for direction, but I put less weight on the timeline. I put more weight on the goal. So if my goal is I want to be a bodybuilder and I want to compete, I'm going to keep working towards that goal until I reach it. It's not that after 1 year, I'm going to think, oh my God, I didn't reach my goal, so I'm going to give up. And that's something that a lot of people do. They put too much weight on the end goal and a timeline that if I don't meet this timeline or this goal by this timeline, I failed. But you haven't. You're still doing it. Continue, keep persevering. You'll get there. Consistency, staying committed to your goals and your aspirations, and understanding that, from a spiritual side, that this is all because of something much bigger. For me, it's not just about, oh, I'm not trying to do this so I can be a professional bodybuilder. I'm trying to do this so that I can be a good dad, is that I can continue to play with my kids and I don't have health issues as we get older. Right? And that I can continue to live my life. I can continue to go skydiving, continue to play baseball. I can continue to do all the things, because age is just a number. So I can do all the things that I've always done and always aspired to do without feeling that, it's because of my health or because I didn't work out that I wasn't able to do it. And I find that people who have this heightened mindset are overachievers in all aspects of their life. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about how you approach your career, how you approach your mental health, how you approach your physical fitness, getting help when needed. You're feeling anxiety, you're feeling depressed, you're feeling overwhelmed. Talk to a therapist, talk to somebody. Sometimes just talking help. Talk to a coach.
Lost your audio for a sec there.
Oh, sorry. You need
It's back.
where did we stop?
I heard, talk if you're feeling some rough patches in life, mental anxiety, talk to somebody is where I think we lost you.
If you're feeling, mentally drained, or you're feeling like your mental health is being affected through, let's say, depression or anxiety, talk to somebody, talk to a coach, talk to a therapist, talk to somebody. This is a lesson that I remember my law professor had told me in high school. This is a long time ago. It's like grade 11 or grade 12, I think it was. He told me that the difference between a scholar and a student is that a student thinks with their ego and says, if I ask for help, it shows weakness. A scholar thinks, pushes ego and pride aside and says, if I ask for help, it shows strength. Right? Because you are saying that, hey, you know what? I need help. I can't do this by myself. You don't know everything. We don't know what we don't know.
Exactly.
Right? So even in my businesses or any businesses that I've founded or I've worked for in a senior management or an executive role, I have realized that, as a leader, you have to surround yourself, even at work, with people who are better than you. Right? I'm not saying people who think they're better than you. I'm talking about more about the skill set, right? The skill set. It's like when I play pool and we're playing a sport, if I want to get better, am I going to play with someone who is less skilled than me or more skilled than me? Probably more skilled than me, so that I can build up my skills. And that's the same thing with work. That's the same thing with your friends. Look, I don't judge my friends. I'm not that person who's going to say, oh, you're a truck driver, we can't be friends. It has nothing to do with what they do. It's how they think. Right? Are they driven and ambitious, and do they aspire for greatness in whatever aspect that they are focused on? It's more about the mindset. How do they think? Do they have that growth mindset? I want you around me.
Yes.
right?
Yep.
But if you're playing that victim card, if you think I blame the world for my problems and it's all about other people and that's why I'm not successful or that's why I couldn't do ABC. I can't have that. That's a lot of negativity, right? I need positivity. And
Mm.
yes, is there negativity around us? Yes, there's noise around us constantly,
Sure.
but it's on us to decide if we want to absorb what we want to absorb. And sometimes you have to listen to that noise. You don't have to react to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just listen to listen. This is a lesson I learned over the past year and a half. It was a big lesson.
Mm-hmm.
Patience and
Mm-hmm.
silence. The
Mm-hmm.
importance of silence. You
Mm-hmm.
don't need to always respond or listen to react. You're not listening to react. Sometimes you're just listening to listen. And this is another lesson I learned is sometimes it's about just holding space for others. You don't need to be the hero. You don't need to provide solutions. And I think as a man, we want to be protectors. We want to help and protect and solve people's problems,
Mm-hmm.
and provide solutions. Sometimes it's not about that. And that's something that I have learned through my own journey is that sometimes I just need my people to just be there and me knowing that they have kept space for me so that I can vent or I can get out what I need. I'm not looking for a solution.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to be understood. And I think that is a big part of having a strong mindset and staying driven and focused, where you just know that your people are there to support you in whatever aspect you need
Mm-hmm.
and they believe in you. But you better
Right.
believe in yourself. That's number one. You have to believe in yourself because people come and go in your life,
Mm-hmm.
right? People come and go. So believing in yourself is extremely important. I think that, and that's what separates a business owner entrepreneur from like a visionary entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
A business owner entrepreneur focuses on profit and the business being successful and everything based on the business. So again, it's kind of in the comfort zone. And they're an
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneur because they work for themselves. Okay. But a visionary and an entrepreneur, when you're thinking much, much bigger than just a business, when people ask me, what do you do? My response is really, what do I not do?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so much, when I tell people I have a podcast, I teach martial arts, I'm a business consultant, I coach, um, I go skydiving, I'm constantly evolving and coming up with new goals, not because I'm bored, is because that's what fuels me as a human being. Right. And I think the same thing with you as well. It's what fuels us, as rugged humans.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. And it is the same thing with me. When I feel like I've plateaued on something, I have to continue to move forward because that's also a mindset thing. If I become complacent or, in where I happen to be at, eventually that's going to become obsolete. And if you don't recognize that when that does happen, then you're going to be doing yourself a disservice. So you need to
Absolutely.
always continue to grow and
You have
move
to continue
forward
to
and with a
grow.
positive mindset, because when you hold that negative mindset, that poor me attitude, like you mentioned, we don't necessarily grow at all. And sometimes we even regress because then
Some
we
people
start
don't even know that they do it.
and that's a fact too. We're going to, unfortunately, we're going to run across a lot of people like that in the world. And to see that and have compassion and understanding for it, realizing, that whole they know not what they do kind of thing is also an important path choice to make as you move forward, in my opinion. So,
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And it's really, I think about practicing mindfulness,
mhm.
right? Being
Yeah.
mindful of the present, understanding that
You know what?
you
That's
can,
a great topic. We got 7 minutes left here, just because I just noticed it did pop up.
yeah.
But you had mentioned a number of times, objectivity, mindfulness, being aware of yourself. Talk to me. What's your take on how do you kind of consider mindfulness in your life? How do you practice it? How do you catch yourself when you're maybe not being so mindful? I would love to hear that. And I bet a lot of people would like to hear how you practice mindfulness in your life.
I think it's kind of going back to what we talked about, is that it's also based on life experience. When we
Mhm.
have gone through the ringer sometimes, right? Where you are living your life the way you think you should be living it, and then bang, the universe like throws like a wrench into your plan, right? And
Mhm.
your life is flipped upside down, and you think, what do I do? Yeah, you can give up. You can give up, but giving up is accomplishing nothing, right? Giving up is putting you into that victim mentality.
Mhm.
And so for me, I meditate twice a day. I count my blessings. And when I wake up in the morning, I count my blessings. I think about everything that I'm blessed about and I'm grateful for. When I go to bed, I do the same thing.
Mhm.
And I meditate, I clear my mind, I focus on, you know, um, the good and helping at the end of the day. And I know that focusing on your purpose and knowing what your purpose and your why is extremely important. So if you haven't found it yet, that's okay. You will. Just that you have to have that mentality and that mindset that, you know what, there's something bigger than just me. And when you have that, when you realize that exact phrase,
Right.
I think it changes the way you think, because then you realize, wow, you know what? We are on borrowed time. Because when you're young, you think, oh, I'm going to live forever.
Yep.
I'm going to live forever. But we really don't know how long we're going to live. We don't know if tomorrow's our last day.
Mhm.
So you got to live like every day is your last day, and just be the best version of yourself, and you just really understand and realize. And I think that sometimes that realization only comes from actually having to go through challenges and obstacles in life, and successes.
Pain is a great
So
motivator. All
fear is a
right.
great
Well,
motivator.
it is.
Yeah,
And
and I was just gonna add one thing. I was gonna say, like
yeah, please do.
the three biggest lessons in life that teach you the
Yep.
biggest lesson is heartbreak,
Mhm.
right? Heartbreak, the fear of failure, right?
Yes.
The fear of failure and being broke.
Okay.
Those three things are what I think are the biggest lessons, because then you learn what not to do
Right.
so that they don't repeat themselves,
Mhm.
right? And so we're always striving, even in a relationship, we're always striving to find our person. So you got to
Yeah.
just, some people, it doesn't work out. They think, oh, I'm not going to do that anymore. For me, I'm going to continue to be my authentic self and
Yeah.
continue to strive and continue to motivate and continue to be the best I can be for myself and for others. And
Mhm.
what's meant for me will be for me.
Yeah. True words. Well, thank you, Sensei Kunal. And so tell anybody listening who wants to hear more about what you're doing. Talk to me really quickly. How do we find you? Um, and some of your content out there so we can listen to more of what you got going here.
Thank you so much. I have a podcast called the Warrior Mindset Podcast on
Right.
all major platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast,
Right. Yeah.
Amazon Music, and Audible. If you just search the Warrior Mindset Podcast, it'll pop up.
Mm-hmm.
You can also find me on Instagram and TikTok at Sensei Kunal, which is SenSeikunal. I would love to connect with you guys. I'm always, I'm trying to drop gems and, uh, you know, anything to do with mindset or self-care or maybe business tips, life hacks, anything that, and I talk to, great people like yourself as well about how we can kind of collab and work together to really help mankind grow and evolve.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the big picture on everything with once people get to that certain point in life when they realize that their purpose is part of their purpose is giving back and helping, that becomes something that we all start to strive for, and we start to look for those connections with others that will
Yeah,
help
but
us
the
to
thing is
do that.
that is what creates that different mindset,
Yeah.
right? It's like that's when
Mhm.
your mind changes. You're like, like when I become a dad, my mindset changed. And then I realized
Mhm.
that it's no longer about me, and now it's about those two,
Yes.
right?
Exactly.
So everything I do for myself, I know that it's my legacy for my children.
Yep.
Right. So it's really about having that growth mindset and focusing on the what if it does work out versus what if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
And working with coaches and not putting your ego and your pride aside and asking for help when you need it, and talking to coaches and talking to mentors and asking for help. It's extremely key. I've done it, and I really put a lot of value in that with my clients and my mentees as well.
Fantastic. All right. Well, Kunal, we are out of time, and I appreciate you being on the Rugged Human podcast. You exemplify what I consider to be the traits of a rugged human in general, and I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for being on, and we'll look forward to continuing to collaborate.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure being on the podcast.
Fantastic. All right. Have a great day.
You too. Take care.